Hey, welcome. This is another episode of Hard to Guard TV. I have not only one of the nicest, coolest guys on the planet, principal owner, one of the first black-owned NASCAR owners in NASCAR, a great friend, John Cohen. John, what's up?
Edgar, what's going on, bro?
How you been?
Everything's cool. Been up and down week.
It's been up and down week. I was gonna say one of the reasons, not only you're a friend, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on because an article came out about MJ joining the NASCAR circuit, which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, the people that wrote the story was they didn't shed the light in the right way. And it kind of bothered me, but before that, I just wanted to talk about the journey and how you became a NASCAR owner and why. And you're HBCU grad, you went to Grambling University, and you was on a scholarship, played football.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about first, why Grambling State, and talk about your experience at Grambling.
All right. What do you want to start at? You want to start NASCAR? Or you want to start at Grambling?
Grambling. We'll start at Grambling.
Playing, and I played for football Union High School in New Jersey. So Union was at the time probably the top third high school in the country, my junior and senior year. So basically, we had recruiting stuff from every school in the country. And at the time, HBCUs were like they were now. Like everybody was wearing the black college sweatshirts. Everybody's wearing, going to the games, the Bayou Classics, the Whitney Classics, and the Meadowlands. And I was just fascinated by Eddie Robinson. I wanted to play for him. So, basically, one of the coaches I knew reached out, and then from there, it just started the process of me going to Grambling. And I just liked the history of that school as far as football. And when I got there, it really didn't let me down. He's probably one of the best mentors besides my father and brothers and stuff like that, and just friends. As a coach, is the coach that every morning, he used to ring a bell every morning. You talking about a man who was at the time probably 82 years old, and he every morning around 6 o'clock he would go to each dorm room, ring the bell, and take your ID. So you couldn't eat without your ID, you couldn't eat without your meal card. So he would make sure you get up and go to breakfast and you get your meal card back. So if you didn't get up and go to breakfast, he figured you go to breakfast, you go to class. So if you didn't go to breakfast, you wouldn't eat all day. So he did that every day as a coach. I mean, if we lost the game, he cried. You see a grown man sitting there crying. He ran routes in practice. This man was just different. It's wonder why he's, to me, still one of the greatest college coaches of all time. With over 400 wins. There's a reason.
He definitely was one of the greatest coaches and one of the greatest mentors.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the experience you had, once you finished, your 4 years, and the impact he had on you after you graduated?
Well, I mean, a lot of things. His biggest thing was, biggest saying was, no matter what you do, have pride in yourself. If we lose a game, hell, you don't have no pride. There's no way you go out there and lose a game like that. We practice all week. We do this and you go out and lose a game. That's pride. Pride allowed you guys to lose that game. You didn't put your pride into it. It's just, this man just resonated greatness. I mean, look how many Hall of Famers, was in the NFL from Grambling. How many people at one time, Grambling put the most, black college athletes in the NFL, so I mean, he just resonated all across the board as far as, excellent black excellence, especially as a coach.
Did you think you playing at Grambling that you had a shot at the NFL, or you just wanted to get that 4-year degree?
I mean, originally when I got there, but it was a lot of Grambling was different as far as, people from the north. Basically, my coach, he was trying to get me to switch to Eddie Robinson. Was trying to get me, because he ran the offense, so the offense was his, and the defensive coordinators was different. So I played defense. So he was trying to get me to switch to offense so bad, and I was just so adamant, like, coach, I play defense. I don't play offense. Meaning, like, at the time, like, I didn't want to play offense. I wanted to play defense. And if I'd have played offense, I probably would have went, further. But playing defense, I played under 3 different defensive coordinators the whole time I was there. So I was getting moved around from a defensive end to a middle linebacker. So I never really got my foot in the way I wanted to get it in at Grambling as far as, on the defensive side. But if I'd have switched to offense, I know for a fact I would have had a better shot and going to another level.
So, you graduate, you come back to New York, and you start, doing marketing and promotions and parties.
No. When I got back, I started a trucking company.
You started a trucking company?
Yeah, I had a trucking company, and, I built that. Because my father was in trucking, so that was not. But we didn't do the same thing. My father was actually a driver, owner operator and driver. So I went from coming back. But most people don't know I went to Dell State to get my degree. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't want to go back down to Grambling, so I finished off at Dell State. So I went to 2 HBCUs. I only represent Grambling. I represent Delaware State University. Mm-hmm. So, which I regret to this day. So I want my Grambling degree. So we work on that, to see if they give me my doctorate from there, honorary. But I started a trucking company, built that up from 5 trucks to we was running over 100 trailers and trucks at one time. Got out of that business after a while and got into a mortgage business, and all at the same time went from that to racing. Yeah. So that was.
So the trucking business, is actually a booming kind of business right now, but I heard it's very stressful.
It's so many variables in trucking. So, you got a variable of a driver breaking down. You got variables of your load might not make it there. You got variables of insurance going down, gas prices, accidents. So it's so many variables in trucking that people don't realize when they first get in. They just see like, oh, I can make this amount of money, but just if you blow 2 tires on the load, that's a whole load that's gone, as far as income. So, trucking is good and trucking is, but right now, yeah, because everybody is shopping online. Everybody is, pretty much the brick and mortar business is almost gone. So there's so much shipping going, from east to west to north to south right now. So yeah, trucking probably is a lot better. Plus, when I first started, trucking was really pretty much regulated. It was regulated prices by mile. Mm-hmm. Right now, I don't even know how much people are getting per mile as far as the truck.
Yeah. So 2007, 2008, you decided to go into racing.
Yeah.
And so why racing?
I was always a motorcycle, kid since little, ride motorcycles, and then from motorcycles it got to drag racing in Newark, Avenue A, Avenue P, down in the hole, and then my brother's one of his close friends, owned a body shop in Springfield, and they ran late model. So I started hanging around them and, learning late model business, doing that with them. And from that, I was like, I can do the higher NASCAR level. I can do the nationwide at the time. So I reached out to a guy. He introduced me to a couple of people in Mooresville, North Carolina. I flew down there. And then actually Robert Yates, who's like a Hall of Fame engine builder and team owner in NASCAR, he actually met with me the first time I was down there. He explained it, hooked me up with a couple of people. And then I went from there to buying a smaller team to the team I have now.
So, you buy the team. Can you talk about the whole process on how do you buy a team? And
well, at that time, it was a lot easier to buy a team because you just buying equipment, buying cars, buying trailers. But I mean, when I took over that team, I had some sponsorship coming with me, so it was a little easier, to deal with. And then the next year, Vaughn Smith and Juan, OG Juan and Nigel, they all got together and helped me get Cabby and Macy's, which helped me get through the next season. And then from there, went from there to the Cup Series. Mm-hmm. So I just.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just kept the flow of wanting to go from, the second highest series in NASCAR to the top series.
And, you, a black man, how difficult was it to get into the, especially back then, 2008, obviously it's not now, but for you to be one of the first guys, to get into this sport?
So, it was a lot. It was a lot more, not as far as the the people inside NASCAR, because I initially got with some good people, especially in the corporate side of NASCAR, which are guys now who like president like Steve Phelps and at the time Jim Cassidy. Those guys, like, I pretty much came up when they was coming through the ranks. I was pretty much with them, So I started with some good people, like the fans. It was a lot of, I go to the track and see the Confederate flag and see certain things, which to me, I just had an ego. Like, as long as they don't bother me, I don't bother them. Or if they say something, I'm not, I'm, just being who I am. Just I'm down, like, I'm not gonna let anybody just talk to me like any type of way. But NASCAR was definitely a different vibe than it is right now. I mean, the whole country, and then understand too, like 2008, 2009, Obama, was coming in office. It was a different vibe for we had a different pride ourselves as being Black Americans. We had one of us in the White House, so it was just all across the board the way we felt as me being an owner, me being a Black. Certain things didn't faze me. Mm-hmm. But now it's a total, now with, I don't mean to talk politics, but now that Trump is in office, sometimes it feels a lot more intense when you're at the track. Like, I remember sometimes I go to the track in his administration a couple years ago, go there, and some kids with red hats on say, you can't park there. This is Trump land. And I look at them crazy and just, it's a different feel. So on one side, going into NASCAR, it was the corporation side always supported diversity, but the fans was, it's the fans that showed the racist side of it, more or less than you have employees. I mean, I had employees that just, you wouldn't believe the stuff that, after you fire what they said to you, just the craziest stuff in the world, stuff that I had to send to NASCAR, because I'm like, if I ever see him in the track, it's going to be an altercation. Like, it was just bad stuff that it would just text you.
Yeah. Can you talk about, and some of the bonuses of being like the first, like, you're one of the trailblazers in this tough sport,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk about some of the good things that you've experienced over the years.
One, over the years, just going to the schools, talking to the kids, like you'll get a lot of kids that never knew about racing, just reach out and say, like, how do I do this? How do I do that? Stuff that I never knew, never thought of as a 7-year-old wanting to race in NASCAR. So that's one of the plus. Two, just meeting a diverse amount of people all over the country. Like, even though it's a lot of different people that go to the track, you'll meet a lot of good people that really want to help you. You know what I'm saying? It's especially, a lot of white people that want to help you. They really want to see you succeed. So, you see that good side of it. But besides that, I mean, starting in NASCAR wasn't easy. I mean, it still ain't easy now. Like, I mean, you want to talk how they saying Michael Jordan is the first. They trying to claim him as the first.
Principal
owner that will. So over the years, but in the Cup Series, I've never completed a full season. So I would race, like, maybe if it's 36 races out the year, because sponsorship, I may have raced 30 or I race 31. Or if I take a charter from somebody, they don't count that 5 races as me. So he's trying to, not him per se, but his PR people is trying to use that as Michael Jordan is the first person to complete a full Cup season since 1963 as a majority owner, which I'm going to do next year anyway now, because just because I can't let him, not saying let him, but I've been working too hard for the history side of it to let that little, part be the stop of me being maybe NASCAR Hall of Fame one day, or, in somebody's history book. But as far as first principal owner, and as far as my team, my team is fully minority Black owned, and no other team is that in NASCAR. So if they want to talk things, we can talk that.
The good thing, I said, like, with MJ coming in, is that you do get more, will get more press just because it's MJ. Yeah. But I know you have been on the grind for a long time, and we've had our own personal conversations, and I know you've been in conversations with some heavy hitters.
Mm-hmm.
And, can you talk about maybe the opportunities now for Black and brown people with money getting involved in NASCAR?
Yeah, I mean, it's more on the sponsorship level side, getting involved. Like us coming up through the ranks, like pretty much most of our friends now are in positions that they are CMOs of a company, or they might have influence to a CMO. I mean, that's where us as being, coming up, a lot of our friends are the heads of record labels now that, we all came up at the same, especially being in the New York scene, we all came up at the same time, all was on our different grinds. And now you see so many people that we came up with at the time now in different positions to make different things happen. So, I look towards that at this moment. Like, I'm trying to chase a certain amount of history right now, and I'm looking for, people to be on that side of history.
So, can you talk about the culture shift that you think will happen in NASCAR in the next few years?
I mean, I think the culture shift, it might feel that, all right, for example, when you came to the racetrack, you came to one of my races, you came to Pocono. After you left there, what was your
great time, by the way.
Yeah. So when you left, you was like, John, I didn't even know it was like this. I didn't even know this. I didn't even know that. Like, it's cool. And then you might watch it the next week and like become a fan. Most people, if you go to the racetrack, you're gonna end up being a fan because it's definitely a cool environment. What you did is just we didn't have anybody to represent us or to root for us. To be willing to go to even attempt to watch it. But if people, of us see Michael Jordan car, they rooting for his. With Bubba Wallace, they root for my car. They root for whoever they're gonna root for. That's just more fans.
Has ever since, like, with the whole, I feel like the movement is gonna go in the right direction eventually. I feel like, has doors opened up for you in the past couple of years as far as like, more people interested in partnering with you or getting involved in NASCAR?
I'll be honest with you, it became more after this year of people wanting to, because I mean, after George Taylor, it was just more companies trying to see like, all right, how can we help? How can we help the communities? How can we show this? How can we do that? I mean, a lot of these companies have made statements that they're going to do this and do that. I mean, I can tell you offhand, uh, it might have been 50 companies that, said they was going to do this, do that. I mean, I can only tell you about Netflix. I mean, they gave money to, all the the black banks to lend out. Apple have made statements where's it going. Like, all these companies have said certain things they're going to do, but we don't know. There's nobody here for us to fact check them to say, all right, where's that money at? You made a statement, to stay in good graces with African Americans and people of this, movement. But where have you actually put this funds? Where have you, because at the end of the day, I feel like, education is going to be the platform that's going to change the communities from, from disparity of like, because most of the kids, go to school, they overcrowded classrooms, they go to school hungry, so you can't really just imagine going to school and you can't think because you didn't eat for the whole day. So how are they actually learning? So I feel like a lot of these bigger cities run on crime. They put all the money into the police departments and they forget about the education, which is backwards. And then they put the money into the prisons. So it's just a cycle that's never going to stop unless us as older African Americans to try to, go back to get the education side of it back into the inner cities, right?
One of the great things that you're doing in Philly is you have a NASCAR class with kids.
Yeah.
So you're in Jersey, right?
No, it's in Philadelphia. It's the Urban Racing School.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually been around for 20 years. The people who founded it was Anthony Martin, Michelle Martin, the husband and wife. They started 21 years ago. I've been involved, I think, 3 years now. But they they've been doing a great thing for a long time. They haven't been recognized for a long time what they do. They actually, it's a free program. Chevy gives a lot of money of it to the program, and like Jim Campbell, like this, he's the president of Chevy Racing. Like he dedicates his second part of his job to the school. Like he's like, when I say people that's trying to help, he's one. Like he really like goes all out for the school, which he don't really have to. He has a busy schedule within himself, so he makes sure Chevy's involved, which helps the school. So it's about 60 to 80 kids a year. They go through the STEM program. They learn how the history of Black racing. Because like, for example, most people don't know Jack Johnson was the first Black person to competitive race. Like he had money from boxing and he won the race cars. Like you see stuff about that most people don't even know. Like as us, let alone kids learning about racing. So they teach them about racing, African American racing. They teach them about STEM, how it relates to racing, and they teach them how to drive at the on go-karts and simulators towards the end of the program. And a lot of these kids throughout the years, like a couple kids are on the highest level of NASCAR as far as executive level. Like Jason Simmons, he's running, he's doing big things in NASCAR. You got people that become big engineers. One kid became a helicopter pilot. You got police officers. You got a lot of kids who came through that program that catapult them into their careers.
Is that program going to be expanded maybe to New York?
So my goal is to expand the program nationally, not only brick and mortar, but like a trailer that will go to a school on a Tuesday, Wednesday of the week. Once COVID is not present anymore and kids are back into schools, we'll go to the school, we'll show up, we'll teach the kids different things about, technology within racing, teach them about the engines, teach them about, just stuff that they would not learn in the regular classroom. And then we'll invite them out to the racetrack so they can see how it all comes together.
That's awesome. So one of the things, like, obviously Bubba Wallace is one of the best drivers in NASCAR. Both of y'all being Black, have you guys had like your own personal conversations about, I know he's a competitor, but I'm pretty sure, you guys are, cross paths about changing, the thought processes of people that go to NASCAR, or like getting us more involved to watch NASCAR?
Me and him, speak through text and phone, but not as we don't talk as far as that level. He came out to Philadelphia last year and did the go-kart racing. We every year, pre-COVID, we used to have a go-kart race in the middle of Philadelphia. So like last year, he came out, Gilly came out, Vaughn came out, Alex on the Swiss Beats artist, she came out, to support. And we raced around Philadelphia, with go-karts. So as far as him, his views on certain things are different than mine. As far as bringing people to the track, I'm trying to bring more of the people, kids from that we see every day in the city. Like Charlotte is a little different. We're in North Carolina, is where the teams are, where he lives at. It's more of it's more of a rural area, not really populated city like Harlem. So his views may be a little different than what I'm trying to do with mine. I'm trying to get kids from Harlem, I'm trying to get kids from Compton, trying to get kids from Chicago, that riding around on the four wheels right now, dirt bikes that might want to come out and see a race and say, listen, I want to try to do that career. It's a little different for me.
So what people don't realize, like, to run a NASCAR team, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of overhead.
Yeah.
Can you explain how much does it cost to own a NASCAR team, pretty much like with sponsorships for a year? If somebody brand new, young kid wanted to come up and come under your wing and say, hey, I want to, own a NASCAR team, you would tell them, hey, kid, you better have this much of money,
Well, right now, if you was to come in to buy a team, right? All right, for example, Mike and them, it's going to cost them their budget this year is probably $30 million to make Bubba win, $20 million to make Bubba win races. If they, that's what their budget is. But you'll have some teams that have a budget of $3 million, $4 million, $5 million. So it just depends on the sponsorship, like how much sponsor you got. It's just, I mean, I call NASCAR ATM. What you put in is what you get out. So if you put in $5 million, you're gonna get $5 million worth of placement, meaning like you might finish 20th every week. You might finish 18th out of 40 cars. So let me explain that. If you put in $20 million, you're gonna win a lot of races. You might make it to the playoffs and might win a championship. It's just how much money, how much engineering, how many smart people you have, how big your payroll is, how much tires you're gonna buy. So a weekend at the racetrack, it's your tire bill is gonna be about 35,000. Your engine bill is about 120,000. Your driver, depends on who he is between 5,000 to $100,000 a weekend. It just depends on who he is. Travel expenses, planes. Most of the teams fly on private planes, so you got that expense. You got a lot of expenses that that makes that car go around the track.
Is it fulfilling for you? Is it stressful for you? The whole grind.
I mean, I haven't really slept in 10 years, man. So that'll tell you how it's just. I mean, I'm trying to complete something. I'm trying to, this is the year that I need to complete it. I'm chasing something that's I've been chasing for 10 years, like just to win a race or make the playoffs or, get a certain amount of recognition, as a team owner, like everybody else. I mean, most people don't know I'm a African-American owner because I never put it out there. I never made articles. I never used PR as I just want to be a NASCAR owner that happens to be African-American. But now I feel like everybody is wanting to use that title. So, I mean, I'm going to just change my narrative this year.
No, I think, one thing I've always respected about you, you've always been a behind the scenes type of dude, and which is a great thing. But sometimes in sports, sometimes you have, everyone knows, you have your own team, you're a leader, that they have to see you up front. And like one of the things I know when the whole Bubba Wallace situation happened, who's on MSNBC? You have become in the past year and a half more outspoken. And this is before the whole craziness, but I felt like you started changing the narrative about who you was last year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of things throughout the country is making me change. I mean, I've lost a lot of cool friends over the last 6 months over just politics, just stuff that, to me, like as a friend, I can't be your friend if you feel that way at this moment. Like there's nothing that's gonna make me feel like me and you are cool if that's the way you feel about certain things. Just off, we talking that way, and just like when people say, Black Lives Matter, they look at it as a hashtag or a statement or as a foundation. I look at it as, like America values Black people. The value is low on Black people. And that's why I feel like Black Lives Matter. I feel like we never had the value as a group of people since we got here. You're talking about a group of people that fear for their life since they touched, as a group, we have always feared for our life since we touched down in this country. Not one generation has not feared for their life at one form or other. Just think, you got here with slavery, then it was Jim Crow, then it's police actions of killing Black men, or just within our own communities, just trying to get out or trying to make it. It's just Black people as a whole had the hardest time in this country. So how do you not support us if you're my friend? How do you not support the culture? Because you live off the culture. So, that certain things I just don't tolerate no more as being friend. But if you're my friend, you should understand. If I explain it to you, now if you don't know it and we have a conversation and I don't get to you at that moment and I come back to you again and you still feeling the same way, then I have to walk away from you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And, everyone knows my feelings. I put it out on Facebook all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, it just bothers me all across the board how people, we talking about how this election is so important. The next 2 months is going to be important. even before the election. So like it's what we do as adults right now is going to catapult every generation behind us. Huh?
Next 5-10 years.
Yeah, no, next 60, 80 years.
Yeah, facts.
I mean, because you're talking about Supreme Court justice that come in that might change the whole vote. Just those people don't go away.
No, facts. So like as far as your journey, and you starting in NASCAR, what are like a couple of things you would have done differently, that you know now that you didn't know then?
A couple things I do differently. My expectations of the sport. I thought I would go right in and get sponsors because I was, knew certain people. My expectations of people would change. Like a lot of things I just took for granted, in the sport. Like, I know this person, I get that sponsor. It would never happen, So I think that's one thing I would change. I mean, maybe I would have put myself out there a little bit more in the beginning. I think I would change that too, as far as an owner in the sport.
And obviously, we talked about the season. The season runs from when to when?
Season starts February, right around Valentine's Day, and it ends right around Thanksgiving.
And then has it changed because you guys actually had a lot of time off this year because of COVID?
We didn't have any time off actually. So we was off for 2 months, and then they raced 2 times a week to catch up. So literally, every race that was supposed to be raced this year is on schedule.
And then next year you plan on doing the full
season.
So right now, the best way to get in contact with you and hopefully have, the goal is to have more sponsorship conversations.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And partnership opportunities, or
I'm at this moment, I'm ready to talk, but I mean, I want to see the reason why I want to keep it, and I don't mean to sound like that. I want to keep it all minority owned, is because a lot of times when people of other races, they come and they buy a business, they look to sell. They look to how to build it up and how I'm going to sell it. That's not what I want to do. I want, this is generational wealth. I want to give to, I don't have kids right now, but if I do have kids, I want to give to my nephews, my nieces, where they all can work there. Like I have a niece in law school. I have 2 nephews that's in college accounting. Like that's a family business. If at the end of the day, it could be. So I want to bring people in that understands that same value, that this is something that, like the New York Knicks, same owner. Like the Giants, same owner. This is not something that I just want to just build up to sell. That's not the whole purpose of this. The whole purpose is to have it around forever. Yeah,
I've always told you, whatever I could do to help New York racing.
You've definitely been helping since.
I've tried.
Yeah.
And sometimes I hit, and sometimes it's like one thing I do notice: everybody's on their own grind.
Yeah.
But I always feel like eventually there will be connections.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you, have a conversation and, give up the platform so you can talk about, your journey and some of the great things that you're doing in NASCAR and some of the great things that you will be doing in NASCAR.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see you, New York racing, win some chips.
Oh, we want a chip. We're gonna know about it.
Yeah, everybody's gonna know about it.
We'll have a ticker tape parade like in the city somewhere.
And that's what I said. Like for you, like winning that first one, how do you feel like your reaction is gonna be?
My first one. I mean, you know how like you think about certain things. I don't know. It just depends on where I'm at. It could be the Daytona 500, and I don't know. You might catch me out there tearing. I just don't know. Like it's just been a long journey. Like to win that race is like you win a Daytona 500. It's like a crazy feeling. So I don't know. It just matter where it's at.
John, man, I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you too.
We all got love for you. We're always gonna be racing.
I appreciate you.
All right, brother.
All right, thank you.
Later.
All right.